All right, let's dive into Kanapa today. It's this really ambitious devotional epic, based on that amazing legend of the tribal hunter who becomes a Shiva devotee. It's definitely got people talking.
It really has. And our mission here is basically to unpack why. Why does this film hit so hard for some people?
Yeah.
Even with the flaws everyone admits are there, we've looked at the reviews, the reactions.
Yeah, trying to pull out the key stuff for you. What
Yeah.
makes it tick or not tick sometimes.
Exactly. And what's super interesting, I think, is how Kanapa seems to almost like rise above its own issues, the technical bits, the pacing problems people mention.
Right.
It still manages to land this really profound spiritual punch. It makes you wonder, for these kinds of epics, maybe the core story, the faith element, maybe that just outweighs everything else sometimes.
Interesting point. Like the emotional connection just takes over from the critical eye.
Kind of, yeah. It shifts the whole experience for certain viewers.
Okay, so let's talk about that emotional core then. Where does it really work? Is it all about that big climax everyone mentions?
Well, that's certainly the standout. Pretty much universally praised, that emotional and devotional climax. Reviewers are consistent there. They say it leaves this really strong, lasting feeling. Gets like a 4.5 out of 5 rating just for that part. That's definitely where the film, grabs you.
And the big star cameos, do they help that or is it more of a distraction sometimes? How do they land?
No, they seem to genuinely add something. Pravas, playing Rudra, brings this kind of serene weight, even though it's not a huge part.
Right, I heard it was powerful.
Yeah. And then you've got Mohanlal, Mohan Babu. They add that depth, that gravitas you expect.
Okay.
Akshay Kumar as Lord Shiva, described as magnetic, which is great. But there were those comments about his Telugu dubbing.
Ah, yeah, that came up.
It's a small thing, maybe, but it shows how even tiny technical details can kind of pull you out of the moment.
That's true. So, okay, aside from the performances, what about the other production stuff? The music, the visuals, do they help smooth over any rough patches in the story?
Oh, massively. The score, especially towards the end, and the cinematography, they really lift the whole thing, makes it feel epic. Lots of it shot in New Zealand, apparently, giving these lush, grand visuals. That side of things, music and visuals, gets a solid 4.0 out of 5. They definitely help transport you.
So, some really high points there, but let's flip to the other side. Where does the film test people's patience? What were the main hurdles?
Well, the big one seems to be the first half. A lot of reviewers mention this really slow buildup.
A slow talk.
Like the first hour, maybe even 90 minutes.
Yeah.
The pacing is just uneven. For people used to faster movies, it's a real ask.
Yeah, you got to settle in.
Exactly. You almost need to know that going in. That whole pacing and narrative structure in the beginning, often rated around 3.0 out of 5.
It wasn't just the speed, right? Were there other things that kind of broke the spell? Technical stuff, maybe?
Yeah, a couple of things. Some mentioned the VFX weren't always consistent. Looked great sometimes, maybe less so other times. And like we touched on, the dubbing for some non-native speakers was called out as, jarring. Plus, some felt there were these romantic subplots and song breaks that felt unnecessary.
Ah, like they interrupted the main devotional flow.
Exactly. Pulled you out of that spiritual vibe they were building.
Okay, so with those definite highs and lows, it makes sense that the overall reaction is pretty divided. What's the chatter like online?
It's really split. You see it on social media clearly. There are people who were just deeply, deeply moved by the ending, by the spiritual core of it all.
Right.
And then there are others who were just, frankly, frustrated, put off by that slow start or the technical things we mentioned. It's very much a love it or struggle with it kind of film.
So who should really make time for this deep dive into Kanapa? Sounds like if you're a Shiva devotee or just into Indian mythology generally.
Yeah, or if you appreciate that kind of emotional, spiritual release on screen, it seems built for that audience.
But, and this seems important, if you're walking in expecting nonstop action or a really slick, fast-paced blockbuster from the get-go,
then yeah, that slow beginning might really test you. But for those who connect with the themes of devotion, drama, the consensus seems to be that the final act makes the wait worthwhile.
So the overall verdict lands at about 3.5 out of 5. Sums it up as like visually impressive, spiritually moving, emotionally strong, but flawed.
Pretty much sums it up.
Yeah.
Grand, stirring, engaging, but definitely imperfect in how it all comes together.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive, we land on this central puzzle with Canapa, don't we? A film that hits these profound spiritual notes despite very real issues with production, with pacing.
Hmm.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? What does it say about how powerful storytelling and faith can be? That a film's ending, its divine climax, can somehow make you overlook the bumps along the road, challenge your patience, and just shift how you see the whole thing, moving past a critical look to something more resonant.
Yeah, something definitely worth pondering.